Hi there. Let me go over resizing images, something a little more modern today for the way we do things today. Okay, because a lot of people have difficulty understanding how to deal with images inside theme to HTML, and I just like to show you. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at some of the images that are here. There's an image that runs across the top. That's a page background image, and they don't have to be any particular size because who knows? They could just run across the top, or they could go all the way down. You could repeat a gradient horizontally and or vertically in the panel, right? Logo. They don't have to be any particular size. You can have a smaller one or a bigger one. Of course, the bigger it is, the more it shoves everything else downward, okay? Because this cannot begin until this ends, this block here. And so usually you don't want it too big. Okay. When somebody goes to send an email, then there's an image that's sent in the email. So usually you want it to be the same as the logo, or maybe you'll take a copy of the logo and make it a little smaller. And you can even just force that in the back end. And I'll just show you real quick. If I were to go to here and I just wanted to say, this is the right logo, but I need it to be smaller, highlight it, then hit the image block and just force it to be smaller. I can refresh to see what the size is now, and if I have my lock on, then both sizes will follow suit, and so it'll still look round. If I have my lock off, then I could be running a risk, right? Like with my lock off, if I resize just the width, then I get the skew, the stretch, the problems. If I try to take this one down, see, it's all messed up. This is what a lot of people are doing wrong with images is they're trying to force the width and the height, but they don't think about cropping. They don't realize that they can crop. Okay, so I'm going to make that point on purpose. But in the meantime, just pointing this out, let me see. Okay, what else? Okay, banner images have to be a certain size, and you're told that in the panel. You're told what the sizes are for everything. Okay, so if you go to the banner slider and you click on any one of these, it tells you what the size must be. And of course, all of them must be the same size. So that's a width of 730 by a height of 436. Okay, the first number is always the width, and so it's always bigger because the image is always going to be the shape of a big screen television hanging in your living room, right? So that's kind of the idea. Unless it's flipped over and standing up, then of course you're going to wind up with a smaller number first. But almost always you should see bigger number, smaller number, because it's going to be wider than tall. So bigger, smaller, right? That's just how to keep that in mind. Bigger, smaller. Okay. Bigger than smaller. Okay, having said that, what else? These images, they're also rectangular. They're also the shapes of television hanging from your wall. Okay, they are wider than they are tall. Okay, and again, if I go there, that's global settings, 4 image boxes below the main banner. Okay, again, bigger number than a smaller number, 244 by 166 or 247 by 166. Okay, now this is not an image I have to deal with. It's the image that automatically came with the video, YouTube video, and so I didn't have to even think about it. Okay. Now, the image over here, this is the same width as an image up here. This is 247 by 166, rectangular. This is 247 by 247. In other words, it's a square. It's the bigger side squared. That's why the customer testimonial looks like a bigger picture than these. It's the same width, but it's just as tall. So where this is 247 by 166, this is 247 by 247. Okay, so you only have to remember two numbers for a lot of these images after all. Watch this, 247, 166, no new numbers here. It's 247 by 247. And down here, guess what? 247 by 247 again. Okay, so there's only two numbers that cover all of those. 247, 247, 247, and 166. Okay, and if you do the optional two images up here, those are also 247 by 166. Okay, those are the only two numbers you really need to know for many of the pictures on this entire page. If you have a body image, let me flip to a different template long enough to point that out. So plumbers say, come back and flip. Okay, if I have an image in the body, that can be any size as long as it works for you, right? whatever that is. Okay. Again, 247 by 247, 247 by 247. They are smaller. See, this is 247 by 247. This is smaller, but if you make it a square, it just gets auto compressed. But since it's a perfect square, it's going to look good compressed like that. It's not going to hurt. And it's not enough of a change to like take any loading time or anything. They are compressed. They could be sized down, but why bother? Just make them 247 by 247 and you have fewer numbers to have to remember. 247 and 166. And you don't have to remember them because they're everywhere in the back end. Everywhere you go to put an image tells you if there's an important size. Okay, finally, these accolades at the bottom, if you're using them, you don't have to, of course, you can turn the section off. But if you're using them, they can be any size too. Maybe 200 by whatever it turns out being for the height. Okay, like if you force the width to be 200, then the height just grows to the right size. Force the or shrinks. Hopefully you're resizing down. When you resize images up, right, they tend to look washed out or pixelated, but resizing down usually works just fine. Okay, same here. If you force it to be 200 wide and you're resizing down, let it go to its own height. Force the width, let it go to its own height. Force the width, let it go to its own height. That's basically that kind of concept. Now, we can also crop and we can also add canvas, which is separate than the image itself. It's the canvas, it's the spacing behind. So I'm just going to show you some of that real quick and you'll get the idea. All right, let me go get some images. By the way, a really good spot if you want to get something like an image database. Say you're really prepping for a lot of things you would like to sell. I mean, obviously you can get images from whatever it is that you're creating a website for. If you're creating an upgraded website or a different website for a company, use their images. If you're an affiliate for a program, use their images. If you're an affiliate for a ClickBank product, use their images. If you're doing something for a plumber, use their images. But if you need extra images, you need extra images to fill in the gaps, right? So if you get something, if you want to, like Shutterstock.com, that's like over 40 million images. You can just grab images at will and size them to the right size. Okay. Now that and so also especially if you're just starting, just go to Google Images. You can absolutely do it. Just go to Google Images. Okay. You don't need to use that. You know, just make your image for whatever you want. You know, plumber, right? You can even say generic plumber images if you want, and find some images. Okay. And you can use them until someone tells you to stop using them because it's theirs. Then just swap it out for any other image. Now, again, look for something that's shaped like a television set. Okay, this is a square, right? This is a television set shape. That's going to be what I'm interested in. Now, the other concept is make sure that both sides are at least big enough, right? Look, this is shaped like a television, and it's at least big enough on both sides. It's 900 by 600. So I'm not going to wind up too small on width or height. I can shrink it down, but I don't want to blow it up, right? Or I'm going to wind up with a fuzzy image. I'll only blow it up from smaller if it's just a few pixels, say, right? If the image looks pretty good to begin with, pretty clean, crisp, and I blow it up just a little bit, then yeah, I can get away with it. Okay. Look, that's obviously good. That's huge, and we can resize it way down, but it'll look perfect. Okay, that's huge, but we can resize it way down and look perfect. You know, this is sort of a square. This would be better for a service slider at the bottom. Okay, that's a square. Be better for a service slider at the bottom. It's not even a square. It's actually taller than it is wide, and you can kind of see that, right? All right, so tons of images. They go on for absolutely ever and ever. Tons of images. All right, having said all that, how do you resize? Okay, let me go through the cases real quick. Let's say I want to do something like add a canvas. Let's say I want to do something like resize. And let me do it for a different thing. Let me say I'm doing something for office furniture, like Herman Miller. Let's say I became a reseller, got a coupon code or something for Herman Miller office furniture. Okay, now here we go. So I'm just starting with any old thing. First thing I want to do is put these things into a new folder I'm creating. That way I can just keep track of, all my images in one spot, right? Now that's just common sense. Okay, so I want to start getting images to put in there. Very often, you'll see something like this and it'll give you a really big size and it'll just find one that's, you know, pretty big. If you just grab this and pull it in, it's going to turn out to be a thumbnail. See that? That wasn't what you intended at all. Heck, it's too small. Or it might be. Actually, in this case, no, it isn't. It's the right size. 273 by 184. You can crop that down and it'll still fit. Okay. So I could use it that way. If you need a bigger image, click on it. Okay. That gives you this. I don't recall whether that by itself is good. Yeah, that did the trick. Okay, that's a lot bigger, so I can use that like for a banner slider. Okay, if it's big enough, it's 800 by 540, I can go double check the size. If you really need to get the biggest version of the image, hit View Image. Okay, oh, that's the biggest. Okay, it's got a different name. I'm not gonna copy and replace. I'm just gonna let me rename this like medium. Okay, that way I can just pull this in to see. Nope, it's the same size. Okay, so it was able to display the full size in that last tab. Okay, it doesn't mean it always is. Okay, sometimes these images are absolutely huge and it's only showing like this. See, this is 3000 by 2191. If I pull this in, I'm going to get a medium. Well, no, actually I got the whole thing. Okay, so now I know. There's the whole thing. Usually I have the funny habit of viewing the image and then dragging it in. Okay, boom. But yeah, you don't need to if you don't need to. And it's big, right? So there you go. How do you take an image and size it down? Let's just start doing that now. Because now you get the idea. It's so, you just think about the stuff you need. What do you need? Okay. Let me just review that real quick, long enough to get the point in your mind. Okay. You need a logo. That's kind of different than grabbing images, right? You need 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 top ones. So think 4 to 6, either 4 or 6. You need like 3 banner images. So that would be like 6 plus 3 would be 9. You know, maybe body images. Maybe you want 3 or 4 or 5 of those. Okay, so that could be like 14. And then you want one of these, could take you to 15. Then you got, well, 5 or more. So that'll take you to like 20 or 23, 24, 25 maybe. And then maybe some accolades and maybe not. But if you did, maybe another 4 or so. And so maybe be in the neighborhood of 30, 25 to 30. So yeah, you're going to grab like 25 to 30 images. By the way, those of you who don't want to do all that work of getting images and then resizing them to the right size, that's one reason for the production line. Because we get images from image databases and we resize them to the right size. And yeah, it's work. How long does it really take? If you're good at it, it'll take you about an hour. It'll take you about an hour to visually choose, select, and grab the images that work with whatever it is you're selling, okay, that make sense together, and to resize them to the right size. Now, I can show you some tricks real quick for resizing. So let me just go ahead and get a bunch of these and just drag them in here long enough to, just kind of like make the points. Okay, so let me just sort of do that and, do this. Okay, they could be different kinds. No, cancel. Um, Oh, I don't know. What don't I have? What do I have, right? Let me go get something else. Maybe I should just be selling chairs, ergonomic chairs, right? That's pretty cool, actually. Yep. Okay. So I'd be going and getting a bunch of these pictures. Okay. Now, I wonder if I can just like, grab sort of a bunch real quick. I don't think I can. Nope. Didn't think I could. All right. Again, just let me go and get some pictures and put them in. Of course, don't get fuzzy images, right? Don't get anything that looks wrong. Okay, you want to start with a good picture. It's got to be big enough. Don't get any images that are too small for what it is you're looking for. Okay, now let's say I just gathered a bunch of images. Now, what's the next thing that makes my work easier? I already put it in one folder that I'm going to upload to the website. Okay, that's going to be the idea. Okay, what's the next thing I can do to make this easy? Okay, first of all, I can give them names that make sense. For instance, what image is what? Okay, well, some of them need to be at the top here, the top 4, the top 6. Okay, some need to be the banner. So let's say that this was the right size to be a banner image. It's at least so big as to take up the space I need in the banner. Okay, And real quick, it's only the plumber banner that acts different than the other banners. If you click here, it tells you plumber banner are these sizes, which actually makes the image taller than wide because of the way it works. Okay, but all other themes use the same exact size as each other. Okay, just so you know, whether I go to landscape, real estate, anything. Okay, then when I come back and look at the banner, okay, they all say 730 by 436. Okay, just something to keep in mind. Real quick, one more thing to keep in mind is that on the plumber, you cannot change the color of the service slider background color. You can't change that. It stays red. Okay. And the button you can't change. But anyway, this you cannot change, the red service slider. Okay. Just so you know. That's because it was our earliest template and we didn't have that function in yet. That does exist on the other templates. So usually when you build a new template, start with one of the newest themes we've ever put out and you've got the latest and greatest. Now, the fact of the matter is they're all identical, I do believe, with the exception of the plumber template. Okay, so if you start with landscape, if you start with homeopathy, you're starting just fine with a new template. Now, if you want to do one like the plumber template, where you intentionally have this tall image on one side and the verbiage on the other, like this, that rotates back and forth, well, awesome. I mean, go ahead and do that. Okay, that's up to you. All right, so let's say that I needed, all right, let me just get to something standard again so I can keep the mindset on that. Okay, okay. This is the size I needed, and I needed 1, 2, or 3 of these banner image sizes. Okay, then over here, I'm going to do something like this. That's the right size. I already proved it out maybe, and maybe I didn't. Let me show you another thing first. I want to rename these to be the right names, okay? Now, let me show you a trick. See how I'm staring at the images. This is not very helpful information, is it? I mean, I can see them, but I can't tell you which is which or which is bigger than the other until I hover. See, this is way bigger than this. Okay? There's a better way to see this information. First, go up here to your choices, change the view, change it to not list. If you do list, you just get them like that. Well, I want to change it to details. That gives me more information. Now I get the image name, the date, type, like JPEG, PNG, okay? Size, whether it's big or small. But wouldn't it be good to see the height and the width? Watch this. If I right click on this bar right here, past these things, if I go in a straight line past whatever's here to the end and go into the white area, right click, and I can actually make choices here. I can kill the tags. For instance, it takes that out. And I can do another thing. I can go to more, and it gives me everything under the sun that I could possibly want, and they're alphabetical. Guess what? We have a magic one called dimensions. Go do that, and boom, there it is, width by height, okay? And guess what else you can do to make it easier to see? Grab it and drag it over, okay? And now with this hover slip, you can slide it in or out. And guess what? It's just easy to arrange. If I hit dimensions, it sorts one way, small to large. If I hit it again, it sorts the other way. So I know where my cutoffs are. This could be a banner image. That could be a banner image. That could be a banner image. That could be a banner image. Now it can't. It's too small, let's say. And so these would be my top images, my side images. I'm going to go find me a testimonial image. By the way, how do you get a testimonial image? I mean, that's easy, right? Same thing now. If you go get some stock photos, you can just look it up by like testimonial images, You could even do it here. Or you could just look up some guy's name, some arbitrary name. Watch this. My name's David Bennett. It starts giving you names. Why not just find some no-name David Bennett, just some guy that looks appropriate for the testimonial, and I can take him and slip him and drag him in and make that the testimonial, just whatever, whomever, wherever it makes sense. I can get, whatever look I really want, but I can make that person the testimonial, right? And that's not even to say that all these guys' names are David Bennett. This is what Google's bringing up, but people name these whatever they name them, and Google's showing whatever it thinks to show. All right, so they're not all David Bennetts. There's no requirement to think that they are. Okay, and so they could be anything. All right. Some of these guys actually show up with entirely different names because they're used for entirely different purposes over and over and over again on different people's testimonials. So yeah, I could take something that would work. If that's not big enough, 240 by 220, that's not my 247 by 247. It is pretty close, but it's still not good enough. I don't like that 220 being so small. Then I'll just get something else. I could get something absolutely too big, remember? I can. Okay, and I can rename it. That's my next point. Rename it testimonial. Okay, it's not going to overwrite my other testimonial image, whatever that is, because this is going to be a testimonial image in this folder. So it's the testimonial image for this project. Get it? So what's my point? Rename. Watch this. Banner dash one maybe. Okay, don't put any spaces. Never put any spaces. Okay, and then I can go with the next one, rename banner dash 2. Okay, and that way I've got my names figured out so I can keep track of where I'm at, whether I have enough going on. Top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that's what I need. Top dash, and then I'll highlight that, or Control C, so I can copy it so I can paste it real quick. Top 1. Okay, rename. Okay, Control V, 2. Rename. Control V, 3. And that would be like the images I'm using at the top, if they make sense. You know, the idea is when I'm pulling these down, I'm kind of thinking about those placeholders. Rename Control V, right? And so I'm actually doing this on purpose. Okay, now let's say it's just 4, and then this one really should just be a body image. It'll be like body dash 1. Get that? Now what do I have? Okay. Footer, like service slider images. So I might call it something like SS-1. Okay. And then SS-2, rename SS-2, right? And therefore I get my like 5 that I need for the service slider at the bottom. Either that or I can turn the service slider off. Don't forget, go to global settings, service slider settings. If you don't need the service slider at the bottom, just turn it off on that particular model, right? The one that you're building. So if I refresh that one, it's gone. There is no service slider. If I want to turn it back on, service slider settings, boom, update, go back, refresh. There it is, my service slider, right? So you just get your images for your service slider, okay? Now, how do you resize them? Let's just talk about resizing for a minute. We need the banner image to be the right size, don't we? So what would that be? Pages, okay, I'm sorry, dashboard, banner slider. Click on one to get the clue, okay? It needs to be 730 by 436, okay? Watch this. Let's do this. First, I could archive or raw. You know, it's not archive, it's raw images, okay? Wrong size. Control C and paste it in there. That way, if I screw anything up, I got a copy I can bring back out. Now, what did I need again? 730 by 436. Which is the more constraining of the two? When I compare them, I can't tell which is going to hit the limit first, the height or the width. One of them is going to hit the limit first, and the other one will probably be off. So I got to make sure it's over, not under, right? I can only come down to these numbers. I cannot go lower or I'm going to have a hole in my image, right? There's going to actually be some kind of a break in here somewhere. I don't want to break, so I cannot go lower than these numbers. Okay, so here's what you do. Just right click, open with, and I'm going to use a tool called Snagit, Snagit Editor in this case, which you can get from snagit.com, right? SNAGIT.com. I like that one, but use whatever you want. There's so many image size tools. Ooh, that's funny. These are big. Let me just kind of get rid of some of these. Okay, so, whoops, sorry, other screen. Okay, open, okay, desktop. Now, what? Oh yeah, that was the right image. Let me do it again, sorry. Okay, here we go. Ready? Open with Snagit. Boom. Now, I've got to make this thing smaller, first of all. So one size got to hit the limit, 730 by 436. Watch this. Image, resize image. Guess what I can try to do first? I can just try to go by percentage, or I'm sorry, by percentage. and see what happens. What if I go like 30%? Still 900 by 657. So I could even go smaller than that. I need 730 by 436. One of those has to hit first. Let me try 20. 438. Ooh, I'm close. Let me try 15. Whoa, too small. I need 438 so I can creep it up. 13, 16, 17, 18, 19. Ooh, 416. I need 436. 20. And now I think, awesome, I got 438. Uh-oh, I can't do that, can I? Because now this is below the limit. The height. The height needs to be at least 730. It's 600. Like I said, the numbers cannot go lower. They have to go higher. So I must go higher. Let's say like 25. Okay, that gets me a 750. So let me try taking it down slightly. Ooh, 720. It needs to be 730. So I have to go 25% in this case. Okay? And I'm gonna close it. Now I'm pretty close at this point. I'm gonna save this thing. Okay. Now, so it's saved and it's telling me the size 450 or 750 by 547. Okay. So I gotta go 750 by 547. And so let me go ahead and just dial it in. What part of the image? I'm gonna start cropping now. See? Don't force it. If you just try to do something like this, like first I saved it there. If I just try to resave the image right now with the right numbers, 730 by 436, guess what'll happen? By 436, I'm going to get a fuzzy, contorted picture. It's a very possible situation, right? Whoops, nope, don't use aspect ratio. That's the problem. 730 because I gotta make it the right size is my goal. Okay, that looks wrong. Okay, it's going to be fuzzy maybe. Now I could get away with it in this particular picture's case, but that's Bush League, and I don't want you guys learning it that way. So I'm going to cancel out of that. Okay, just go back to where I was anyway. Like, let me see. Who knows? Okay, 750 by 547. So let me get the image right. 730 by 436. So let's take this from 750 down to 730, right? And I can see the number change. Do you see where that is? It's on the right-hand side at the bottom. Okay, let me point that out again. This number down here. This is the original. This is where I'm going. That first number needs to be 730. So I'm going to get that first number down to 730 by chopping off part of the image I'm willing to get away with, to get rid of. 750, I'm going to take it down to 730. Wow. Awesome. The width is perfect. Now I got to deal with the height. 436. So I can't resize it anymore because the width is as low as I can get. I got to get this down to 436. It is at 547. I can get rid of the top first. 436. How low can I go, right? Okay. I can go to about here, 475, and I can come up. Now, would I rather cut off the top or cut off the bottom at this point? Because that's the choice I must make. Well, I can keep cutting and just see where I wind up, you know. Wow. Okay. Where am I at? 729, it just happens to be, by 459. Okay, I'm getting close now. 436, I still need to pull it down. Okay, I'll go here. 442. All right, I'd rather lose the wheels than the monitors. That might be the choice I make. I may want to lose the monitors to make the room appear somehow bigger, but let's just lose the wheels in this case. Okay, whoa, 430. 6. Okay, and I'm close. I'm 729 by 435, right? So at this point, I'm going to save that change. And now I can just flatly resize it, resize the image, okay, to exactly what I want. Take off the aspect ratio that's unlocking the sides from each other and make it 730 by 436. By now, there's no real difference. That image is done. That's perfect. That's going to be a great banner slider. That will look awesome. Okay? Now that's one banner slider done. This is the work of the images. This is the reason why when you get speedy at this, right? 247 by 247. And I mean, when you do get speedy, it moves a lot faster. You just need practice, right? So like right here, resize image. Okay, 247 by 247. Okay, let's just try the lower number, 247 by 247. 247. Whoops, I'm sorry. Cancel. Let's bring back out. Let me do it again. Size image. And you could do it that way. Kill the aspect ratio and take the lower number to where it needs to go. So specific side, the lower number, 247. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to keep it there long enough to 247 to start editing the rest. Yeah, close. Now I got to figure out how to get rid of the width. I want to keep him more than the plants, so I'm going to start getting rid of the plants. 247 by 247. See this? And you can literally do it this way. I can bring that in and then bring this in from the other side. 247. Whoa, right about there. 246 by 247. So now I'll just go ahead and resize to get the exact size. Okay, turn off the lock. 247 by 247. Okay, wow. So I think you get the point of that. Now, here's going to be another question. What happens when you want to make an image bigger than it is? Because you've got something small, but you have to make it bigger. Okay, you don't really have a choice. Now, in an image like this, it's got such a complex background, it's kind of hard to deal with that. Okay, so I wouldn't want to use this image as the testimonial if I had to do such a thing. I would just go get another image, right? But if you need to increase the canvas size to make something make sense, let me just show you how you do it at least. So let me get at least a better, let me see, I'm going to make this like extra large icons for a minute and see what I want to work with. Okay, I like what I can deal with, you know, things that don't have borders necessarily, or even if they do, I can increase the white area surrounding them. Okay, 630 by 420. Yeah, let me say I wanted to make this a square, but it was a 420 by 420, and I had to make it bigger. Or I'm sorry, I had to make it 630 by 630, whatever. How do you do that anyway? That being the point. You increase the canvas size. I'll show you. All right, so let's do this. Snagit. I'm sorry, open with Snagit editor. Okay. How do you increase the canvas size? Okay. Heck, I could even start by just making it smaller, right? And saying I'm going to have to increase the canvas size. Okay. Okay. Now, instead of resizing the image, I can't. What I want to do, this is the idea, right? I'm saving it, is that if I try to make this bigger, you know, like scale to specific size, if I keep the aspect ratio there, if I try to go like 750, okay, it's going to get fuzzy and look all pixelated and fuzzy and everything bad, right? Don't want to do that. So let me go back. Okay. Instead, I just want to go ahead and make the canvas bigger. Watch this. Resize canvas, okay? And so now when I do that, I'm going to make it the size I need. Let's say I need my, what was it anyway? 247 by 247, right? Okay. 247, okay, that right there by whatever, what's with the height? Okay, now I got to make it bigger because I got to make it a square. 327 by 327, okay. That would be it. If I want to show you this with more, let's just go bigger. Let's start off by saying we got to make it a square and we got to center it somehow. Okay, there we go. Now, that's the first thing to keep in mind. Now, the second thing is, where does your image belong in that canvas? See, there's the choices. This is what makes everything magically possible. Okay, this is what works. Okay, and you can do them all. So let's just, and it's really good usually on the images to put them top center. Don't ask me why, but you can do whatever you want. Okay, if you're putting them in these 4 images at the top, okay, up here, because of these tags at the bottom, they cut off the image at the bottom. They just will, because they're overlays. Okay, so it's easier if you push the image to the top. So have the image at the top. Okay, and then the background can be whatever color, and that's the point. Let me choose a color. I'm going to click on this, and if I don't know what color I want, okay, watch this. I think I can do it with a custom button. No. Okay, watch this. See this here? Canvas. Oh, I'm sorry. Close. Now, ready? Canvas color. Select color from the image. What would be a good color, do you think? Maybe like right about here, you know, something kind of sort of in the middle of the background image. Okay. And what do I have to do to make it stick? Something. Yeah. Oh, I see. That's what I would have done for the canvas to begin with. Ha ha ha. I forgot canvas color comes first. Okay. So let me do this bit again. Let me cut off the canvas. Okay. I don't do this very often. That's why we have a production line so that we don't have to. Obviously, this stuff is work. I got my canvas color. So now I would resize the canvas 500 by 500. See that? See how it fits better? Okay, and then stick it in the center, maybe up at the top, and then close it. And now I've got the image I need, right? The right size. Now it'd really be like 247 by 247, or in the case of the top, 247 by 166. And yeah, of course you can do that. I could do it right now, right? So I could save this thing, and if I want, I can just do it manually. Watch this. This needs to be 166. I can pull it up until I get 166. Well, I can't because the image is too big. I am going to have to resize. Resize image, and take it down to the right thing. Height, 166. As long as that's 247 or 249, something like that. Okay. And it is. So now I can actually just go ahead. I mean, it's like so close. Let me just fix it. Unlock 247 by 166. Close. Okay. Boom. Okay. There you go. Now, that's how you handle up anyway on this kind of a thing, this kind of a test. Now, some images, when you do this bit with the canvas color, it works because you have like a white background, right? See how these have a flat background that we can easily pick a color from? That's done on purpose. When we gather our images, we just think about it. And in a case like this, it doesn't need a white background. We can just add one to it and it won't look wrong. Okay, this, we just chopped off whatever we didn't need and made it fit, and it was okay if it had a white background after that. Same thing with this. This could be the image and it could have had a white background. Okay, and just it would be okay. You know, in some cases it makes sense. All right, so just kind of think through how you do your image resizing, but that's really it. So I showed you how to add a canvas, how to change the canvas color, how to center the image inside of the canvas, because now you can give it a name. I showed you how to put all of the images inside one folder. Okay. By the way, when you're all done with all those images, you can delete your raw, right? Delete that. Okay. And let me just go back to my details. Okay. I got my dimensions. Now I know they all match up because I checked. They are the right sizes. And of course, they're not right now. This one is, see that? 247 by 166. That one's a square, 247 by 247. Okay. 251 by 201. I could go and fix that one right now. You know, but whatever, you get the point. I can resize the images I have, and they're all in this folder. Now what do I do? Well, why don't I zip it? WinZip, add to hm.zip. Remember, it should not have any spaces in the name of the file. There should be no space ever. I would never have called it H space M or even like Herman space Miller. Don't do that. Spaces are wrong in coding. They are wrong. They're wrong for folders and file names and things. Now, see that? Same thing. It's hm.zip. Guess what I can do now with theme to HTML? I can upload it, and I'll show you what I mean. See the bulk? Okay, I got all my images ready. I'm going to upload them. So I'll go grab that zip file, hm.zip. Okay, import. And I'm assuming, of course, that I've done everything. Now they're already done. So now, if I were to go and select anything, let's say I have my logo in there and everything else, watch this. If I were to browse, okay, I can now find that under Files, the top folder. If I open it, if I expand it open, there is now my HM folder. It's got all my HM images separated from every other job, every other thing I'm doing in here where I just have other people's work in here, right? And so the ones that I wanted here, okay, was HM. And so if one of these was my logo, I can just select it right now and make it my logo like that. That'd be a really weird logo, wouldn't it? Okay, yeah, sure would. That just doesn't make any sense. By the way, if you screw anything up like that, what do? go here. I didn't save the thing yet, so I'll realize that I'm on the landscape theme. So I'm going to go to backup and restore. I'm going to restore my landscape theme to the last backup I already had. I already created a backup. I want to hit this now because it'll create the backup and that'll save this thing. Instead, I'm going to hit restore backup. Boom. And yes, it'll restore and that'll bring me back to where I was the last time I hit create backup. Perfect. Okay, but I still have my images. I did upload that folder, and so it did not get deleted. It is still there. Okay, just so you know, it's still there. All right, now you could pick all your pictures out into all your places because they're in one folder. Okay, banner slider. Watch this. If I wanted to, I could do it. Go to Browse, go to HM, and get my banner slider. It should say Banner 1. Okay, watch this. As a matter of fact, why not, right? Did I resize that to the right size? I think I did. So do you know what? Watch this. Wow. Look at that. That's how it looks. Okay. Now, if I want the print to show up on the other side of it, I'll make this banner number 2 so that it happens because the print will go back and forth from one side to the other. Watch this. I'm just going to drag it down one, save the sorting, come back, refresh. Now we'll see how it looks. Now the print shows up left on that picture. And then on the next picture, it shows up on the right. See how that looks cool? Really well thought through. So this stuff isn't impossible, okay? It's just a matter of getting used to it, okay? Um, you know, obviously, the more you do it, the less all thumbs you become at it, the easier it becomes. But we just covered how to do all the image resizing for absolutely everything in here, okay? That really is all you needed to know. And putting it all in one folder, getting the sizes right, using your dimensions column to see what you're doing, naming them conventionally to know what they are, and then zipping it and uploading it, the quickest and easiest way to deal with all the images for a job. Okay, literally, it'll take you like an hour to gather the images, resize them, upload them, extract them, and then probably just start putting them into place like I'm doing right now, because obviously that takes no time, putting them into place, right? All right, forget about it. I'm going to go hit my restore backup for landscape. Okay, kind of make sure I got back to where I wanted to be for that. Okay, there's the first image and the second, right? Everything's good. Okay, that's all I need to show you for that. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that.